Find product links below and hundreds more videos on my channel. Hi guys, welcome back. If you don't know me, my name is Netsun. I'm a professional photographer and filmmaker in London. And today I'm going to show you a few different sliders, a couple of different sliders, and then share some experiences about other sliders. And at the same time show you how I set up, how I set up a slider for optimal transportability and usability. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, I'm going to explain about some different sliders that I've used, because unfortunately what I've seen is online people that are reviewing sliders are only reviewing their first slider. Unfortunately, just most people have used one slider, which is the one they bought. And it's great that people review them, but unfortunately you don't get an idea of how they compare. So first of all, I'm going to show you, before I get to the actual sliders, I'm going to show you how I set my slider up. And basically, Fancier FC270A. Warmly recommended, by far the best you can get on a budget. This isn't the head that comes with it. This is a head that is specifically made for sliders, and it's inexpensive. You can get this with legs for about 70–80 pounds plus shipping, but you can get it on its own for cheaper. So, and actually don't hold me to those numbers because I'm not 100% sure, but it's not that expensive, and it is really tough. So that allows me to mount the slider and also to tilt it. Then the head that actually comes with the FC270A, which is the FC02H head. This thing is fantastic. Check out my review on this. And actually, I don't think there's enough. I don't think I really posted enough footage from this. So if you guys request, I'll post some examples. Okay, and then I've got a custom-made adapter here. And these aren't actually available to buy anywhere unless you spend quite a lot on something from, you know, a ready-made thing from, I think they're like £100 for like something that looks like this, but it's got a bowl adapter. Now you can either get a head that will actually just fit onto the slider directly with a flat mount rather than a bowl like this, or you can, if you've got a bowl head like this, you can custom make an adapter, or I mean, I've been thinking of maybe getting these manufactured and putting them up for sale on my eBay, but I'll have more info on that if that ever happens. But yes, if you do need a video head for a lower cost, go for the and you know, you want something that just a flat mount, then the 701 head from Manfrotto is nice. It's usable. Not quite as good as this, and actually I would highly recommend against the larger video heads from Manfrotto. I've tried, I think, all of them, and I've not been impressed. I could be wrong, but I've been really unimpressed by them. Okay, so that's the setup. That allows me to, the only difference, the only thing that I haven't got here to show you, because I left it in another country, is I would sometimes, if I want to have tiltability on my slider and then be able to reposition the head so it's flat again, I have a ball head underneath here. So I would have the slider right on there, and then on top of the slider I've got a ball head, and on top of the ball head I've got this. What that allows me to do is it allows me to tilt the whole slider. Let's say I want to do a vertical shot going up, and then it allows me to straighten out the head, the entire head system, so so that, you know, so my shot isn't, you know, sideways, and that can get a little bit wobbly with that ball head. So I'm gonna try maybe get, you know, a much beefier ball head, that, you know, whatever I can find. But even the one I had, the one that I have now, which is in another country, but that one is okay. It's a NoName. It's a £15 ball head, and you know, it's fine. It works. But I will be looking for something more stable. Now the Konova. The Konova is awesome. Everything about it, everything from the packaging to the customer service, just everything is fantastic. Been extremely happy with it. Comes in a fantastic case, really well padded, nice and compact, nice strap. We've got the feet in their own individual little packets, and comes with a free cloth. I don't have the packaging here to show you, it's in storage, but it's nice packaging, not really nice, nicely sent out. A Canova branded cloth, which doesn't come with the thing, but I just made a little hole here and added a clip just so you know, it's easy to find. And then we've got the slider unit itself. Now, out of all the different sliders I've tried, which something like 9 of them, this is by far the best. No question. It's for quality, for just stability and smoothness, nothing beats this. This is the king. There's only a few that I haven't tried of the major brands, and that's mainly due to price point or because I actually couldn't find one. But I'll go over that a little bit later. The quality of this is fantastic. It's one of the quietest. When you're moving slowly, almost no noise. It's really smooth. It actually feels fluid, basically. And no other slider, even roller bearing sliders, they can be smooth, but they rarely have this sort of fluid drag to them, sort of a little bit of resistance, which helps you get the shots even smoother. And then it comes with these that I haven't seen other companies do. Maybe some of them do, but basically these allow you to really easily clean your rail, as well as you could potentially use them as hard stops, mainly more for a time lapse or something like that. They don't really work if you try and do a move and then stop there. That sudden stop will shake the camera a little bit. It just looks unnatural. But I guess for a time lapse that could do as a stopper. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could play with it and see if that helps you get to the correct point during slides. And that also will, you know, when you keep it in storage, that will help keep dust out. Now the legs are, the legs from Varavon, which is another company that makes sliders, and I'll go over that in more detail in a second, but I just want to say that apart from the Varavon, which also have okay legs, these are the best. They're still better than Varavon, but yeah, I mean, Varavon is the only other one that I actually liked, which were fine, but I still prefer these. These are the best legs that I've seen on a slider by far. They are really easy to adjust, to position. That clicks into place, which I love. I love how that just positions, unlike the slider I'll show you next, the NoName Slider. It's just fantastically lovely to set up and play with the legs, because they're just so quick. It's so quick to set up, to you know, take on and off and everything like that. Perfect. Apart from that, I mean, it's everything about this is nice. You know, they've got a bubble level at one side and they've got a compass at the other, which is just a lovely addition. They really have been trying to think of everything and improve this in every way they can. And another great thing about this is the Konova have all this stuff that you can add to it, which is also inexpensive. This is the K2, so this is the lowest cost slider, so it's about £160 for this meter length. And then for another 200 or so, you get a motorized kit, so you can time lapses. And that price for what you get for a time-lapse kit is just amazing. So that basically just clips onto here. It's a nice compact motor that comes with batteries, comes with a remote unit. I will probably be getting that sometime in the near future. So if I do get that, then I'll do a review. But overall, extremely happy with this, and literally no faults whatsoever. Love it. By far the best I've seen. Comes with some straps, which I guess could be used for just attaching the, you know, when it's in the case, attaching it to another bag or something, or maybe when you to attach the slider to something when you do a move. I don't know. it's nice they include it, you know. Okay, so now onto the NoName Slider. Now, I call it the NoName Slider because I don't know what its name is. It's sold by, it's just manufactured in China. Unlike the Canova, which I believe is it's from Korea. So this thing comes in a mildly padded case. You could sort of say it's padded in certain areas. Like that's somewhat padded, not really. But the rest of it isn't padded, and it rips too. This is I've had another one which I sent back, and yeah, it ripped on the first shoot. Just on the way to the shoot, it ripped. So not really great on that. It's also a little bit oversized because the legs don't detach. If you do detach these, then the carriage is gonna fly straight off. Now another thing about the legs is they are really annoying to try and get into position. You have to sort of undo this completely, and then you have to sort of try and figure out where this is supposed to click into place, and then lock this somehow. You know, it's just, I don't like it at all. It's just sort of annoying, and I really don't like the fact that it doesn't detach. Also, these knobs, some of them, when they are in the fully locked position, they are pointing outwards, which just rips the case immediately. So you have to have it sort of undone when you put it in the case. It's just not that well thought out. Apart from that, you do have mounting points, a little bit less I think than what you get with the Canova, but that's fine. The mounting points here, I don't like the fact that they're off-center. You know, I don't see the point in just... The only thing that this adds is it does allow you in certain situations to put a big bolt through if you need, and then lock it from the other side with a nut or something, but I haven't really found that is needed. And if it is needed on the Canova, then it's very easy to add, just to add a plate to here so that you could do that. But I don't like the fact that it doesn't, because here that would be an optional addition to add a plate like that. Whereas whereas on here, it just comes with a plate, and it just offsets the slider off the tripod. It's not on center, and it's not ideal. It's not how I would have set it up. It's a little bit noisier. I mean, it is smooth. Sometimes, you know, obviously you do have to keep these clean of dust, and that's fairly easy to do. You just normally, if they get a little bit of dust, with the Canova at least, I just run it backwards and forwards a few times, and it cleans the dust on its own, which is really nice. With this, same thing. It is nice and smooth, but unfortunately you have to call the company before you order these. I've got, this is my third unit, because the other two were faulty. There were bumps in the bearings and it was unusable. I don't know how a company, I mean, I guess maybe because they have no name, they don't really care about quality, but it's, you know, sending out that many faulty units. And someone called me and spoke to someone about some item on eBay or something, and they mentioned that they also got one of these and it was also faulty. So yeah, you have, if you want to get one of these for some reason, if you want to choose this over the Canova, you have to call the seller up and say, look, will you check my item before it's sent out and make sure there are no bumps in the bearings? Because I'm not talking about bumps that you can sort of think maybe there's a bump. It's a bump and it shows in your footage. Your camera is just bouncing up and down and makes it completely unusable. So you have to call, if you want to get one of these, or maybe if this is your only option for some reason, or if you need something that this does, I don't know, call them up first. I believe, oh, another thing, the Canova comes already adjusted perfect for the rail. These come loose. Most sliders that I've seen, they come a little bit loose. You have to undo the screws and then get a... there's a whole little complicated mechanism thing for tightening up the... and most sliders will do that, roller bearing sliders. There's a little mechanism for tightening up the bearings onto the rail so that it doesn't shake, because otherwise on many shots, if you're trying to use a fluid head or anything like that, it's going to shake. And that brings me to my next point, which is what other sliders are there on the market that I've tried? What are the ones that I'll mention, the ones I haven't tried that are noteworthy, and why would you go with a roller bearing slider? So roller bearing sliders, they're good for fluid heads. If you want to do fancy moves, anything like that, they are usable with fluid heads. The ones that are friction based, which is just like something sitting on a rail or something and just sliding across it, they're completely unusable with fluid heads. You can sometimes get a little bit of a pan, but it's difficult and it doesn't look great and it's difficult to do and not worth it. If you want to just stick a camera on a slider and just do a move, some people just do that and that's their move and they're not trying to pan and tilt and stuff with a fluid head, then some of the lower end tripod, I mean like the 100-pound tripods from Igus and stuff, they are okay. Still not what I recommend, still nowhere near as nice as the Konova, but it's usable. It's you know, not my recommendation, but usable. Now just another quick point was this thing feels, it's plastic, and when you lock this down you're sort of worried that something's gonna break here, just because it's got a plastic screw, and it just feels like it's pushing the carriage in an awkward way, and so I'm always really careful with that. Whereas with the Canova, that isn't an issue. You know, you've got a really nice screw on here, and it just locks it nicely and it doesn't feel like it's pushing up and, you know, creating pressure on the unit that it shouldn't. And by the way, these aren't really for varying friction. It's somewhat doable. In fact, you can put a little bit of material here to get it to slide smoother. But you could play around with that if you know that you think you want to adjust friction on your move. But with the Canova, it's so smooth that I don't feel it's really needed. But yeah, I mean, that's something that you could potentially do. Now, I'm going to quickly go over a few of the other sliders that I've tried, just so you get an idea of the various stuff that's on the market. There's Igus, there's the Dryland and the hybrid Dryland. And the Dryland is basically just sitting on rails, and the hybrid has some wheels in there as well. Not really good enough, not ideal. Most of the setup, the ways that they come set up, it's fine, it's somewhat usable. I used them for a while. The hybrid I prefer less. I don't like the hybrid, it's really expensive compared to the other things on the market. And the wheels pick up, the plastic wheels, and they pick up dirt. And it's more difficult to get them clean, so not ideal, but many people are happy with Igus, but it is just a big step down from using something like the Canova. Now the Varavon Slidecam Lite is nice, it's nicely made like the Canova. It's not as smooth, you do feel that the bearings just are not as smooth. It doesn't have that fluid feel that the Canova has. And it's not as stable. I mean, I put a 5D on it and it just wasn't, there was wobble in the image and I wasn't happy with that. So they try and sell them off as something that's super lightweight, and I'm not really complaining about the quality. It was acceptable quality, but it is a little bit more expensive, and it's just, you know, it's fine. It's sort of the second best, I would say. Just not really as stable, and their larger versions are more expensive, much more. They're like the £400 range for the larger Varavon sliders. Anyways, Wondlan, really smooth, not quite as good as Canova. The Wondlan is, I think it's called the Wondlan Mini Slider, but it's actually just as thick as these, yeah, it's really nice quality, except the legs on it look like they came from some DIY shop. And it comes with a really ugly blue case, and it's like 400 quid. So expensive and not worth, you know, it's not as good value for money. But it is, for smoothness, it's second to the Canova. So almost as good. Then you've got the Indie Slider, super cheap, it's like $100, but it's not professional. It's not that stable. It's got a lot of friction in there. And it's more of a toy, which is fine if you need something that's super light for maybe using with small cameras or something. It's fine. Then I've built some DIY stuff, but I won't even bother talking about that. That was when I had lots of free time. I made a DIY slider. Then there's other things like dollies, mini table dollies and stuff. They are really good for what they are, like the Pico dolly, I reviewed that. That's great, but they are not something I would take on a shoot. They're something I would use in the studio on a tabletop. Product shoots and stuff like that. But that's a little bit irrelevant. Then there's ones from Glide Track and Pro Aim, which are just based on Igus, and not what I recommend. They're sort of, they're okay for what they are, but they're friction based and then just not ideal. And then we've got Cinovate. I mean, I'm sure they're good quality, but the prices are ridiculous. We've got Kessler, which is supposed to be really nice quality. I've not been able to get my hands on one, and it is above my price range. So even if I really liked it, it's just slightly above what I can afford for a slider. But they've got a good reputation. And then that's it. That's the main stuff that's on the market right now. And I hope that was useful, and I hope this video hasn't been too long. So any questions, ask me below. Don't forget to subscribe because I've got more videos coming up always. And thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you soon. Bye.